Is melatonin dangerous for your heart? The latest sensational-based headlines would lead you to believe that, but what I want to do is actually remove fair from fact today and go deeper into this new study. So it just came out just a couple weeks back, and it was a new observational study, and I'm going to actually link up to it for you today, along with another 6 or 7 or so actual research studies showing both sides of the story. So what I've seen right now from this study is it's not that it wasn't well done, but it was an observational study. And what they looked at was individuals that had a difficult time sleeping and possibly with pre-existing heart-based conditions. And when those individuals used melatonin over a long period of time, it seemed to confound heart-based issues, meaning caused more heart failure. So then we wanted to go deeper into the study. And when we looked at the study, we realized that it was observational and not cause and effect. And what we also found was that it's a little bit perplexing because in the past, many studies, which I'm going to share with you, have actually shown that the heart improves, cardiovascular system improves with melatonin, blood pressure, nitric oxide production improves when using melatonin. So what is it? Well, first, we don't know exact dosages that people were taking. That's one. So were they taking 20 milligrams a day or were they taking 2.5 to 5 milligrams a day? That's a question, right? The other is that a lot of people who don't sleep well have heart issues. And one of the reasons they have heart issues is because they don't sleep well, right? So now if they're taking melatonin, did that actually fix the sleep-based issue? How often were they taking the melatonin? And also, did they have the heart issues to begin with? Like, these are the big questions that we have. This study is not able to provide that information, except that, say, over a long enough period of time, if you have heart issues and you have sleep issues, you might not want to take melatonin. And I am not necessarily against that. I actually think, okay, that's probably a wise decision to make. Our goal, though, is to always look at the underlying root cause. So underlying root cause of why aren't you sleeping well? Underlying root cause of why do you have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes? These are important questions to answer. And then also, how is it possible that this new observational study supersedes so many studies in the past that are looking at cardiovascular protection, for example? And I want to let you to decide whether it's the right or wrong choice for you in the future. Because again, you don't have to use any one particular supplement. But I'm going to link all these up. This was out of the 2018 cardiovascular-based research. Melatonin improves endothelial function, reduces oxidative stress, and limits ischemia, reperfusion, injury. So what does all this mean? Is that when using melatonin, it actually protects the arteries, so the endothelial function, so the gentle and I should say delicate lining of the arteries leading in and out of the heart. And I think that that's important to look at that because it's actually reducing inflammation and reducing oxidative stress, free radical damage on those. Okay, so that is one. The second is that it looks to and helps protect mitochondria and regulate nighttime blood pressure and heart rate. That's important because your heart contains the most, so your cardiac tissue, cardiac muscle, it's its own type of muscle. Cardiac muscle contains the most mitochondria per cell out of all the cells in the body. So overall, your heart contains far more mitochondria, and melatonin seems to be protective for that. All right, next study was on blood pressure regulation. And again, I'm just going to link these up so you can check them out at stephencabral.com/3583. But it found that nighttime melatonin lowered systolic blood pressure by 4 to 6 points and diastolic by 3 to 4 points. That is remarkable, and here's why. That's about a 5% drop for many individuals, and it could push you into a healthy range. So for example, let's say that your diastolic was an 82, 83. So we're getting above that 80 where we want to be. You take melatonin, it bumps you down to 78. You're back in a healthy range for blood pressure. So this is important because the most important time to drop your blood pressure is at night when blood pressure tends to elevate. So really important for sleep and really important for heart function, overall arteries and vascular system. Next study is on sleep quality and circadian rhythm. So strong evidence from many research-controlled trials show improvements in sleep onset latency and total sleep time. This was a study done in 2017 because melatonin helps to retrain the circadian rhythm. So that's also why in our practice, we typically will use a higher dose, not high, but a higher dose for the first 3 weeks, get people into a sleep cycle, getting to bed earlier, and then we begin to taper the melatonin, and it works exceptionally well. Some people, like myself, continue to use melatonin on a longer basis because of the benefits that we're talking about right here. I don't have any heart issues. I don't have any sleep issues. I track everything, so I know that it's not affecting me negatively, but this is also why I do recommend not guessing and testing, right? That's so important because now we don't have to guess, like, do you have heart issues? Yes or no, right? And we can look at that. Okay, so that was on sleep quality. Next one is on immune system. So melatonin enhances natural killer cell function, modulates T helper cell balance, and scavenges free radicals. This is in 2020 in Frontier Immunology. Why is this so important? Because cancer is now getting to be the number 3 killer in the world and definitely in the US. And cancer happens oftentimes because of a lowering of natural killer cells, a lowering of T cells. And that's because if you suffer from sleep, even one poor night's sleep drops natural killer cells the next day. Some studies by 40%, some studies by potentially 60%. You need to get your sleep, right? It's so important. So this is why, again, I want to be careful with smaller observational studies. I know for me, I want to make sure that my immune system stays strong, especially with someone with previous issues with Addisons disease and many other immune-based issues like autoimmune. So huge one for me and a huge one. I've got cancer in my family. I want to make sure I'm doing as much as I can, right? I have to do my part in this world. And so that's what I do. Metabolic and in our practice as well. But it's also why in cancer-based places, I mean, they'll do 20 to 40 milligrams a night, sometimes more. Again, do I go that high? No. But if someone's battling stage 4 cancer, different story, right? A time and place for everything. Me, I'm more on the 1 milligram to 5 milligrams nightly. Again, much smaller dosage than most people use, but you only need what you need in order to be metabolic protective. Also, I'm going to link up a show on melatonin as well. Just keep in mind that after the age of about 25, 27 years old, you begin to dip. And by the time you are 70 years old or so, you only produce about 20 to 30% of the total melatonin you did. It falls off precipitously every decade. Okay, another study on anti-cancer and cellular longevity benefits. Melatonin suppresses tumor promoting inflammation and angiogenesis. Angiogenesis is basically the blood flow to tumors. It starts to stop that and it promotes, again, better immune system function. So why don't I keep it at that? I mean, again, there is a massive data trove of all of the benefits of melatonin. It's also antiviral, right? It helps with viruses. I could go on and on. What I want to share with you is that just be careful of the sensational-based headlines. Conventional medicine, which owns the media, wants you to believe that supplements are harmful for you. Now, do keep in mind, you want to make sure that you're getting good third-party tested GMP supplements so there aren't heavy metals in them. We see that all the time, and that's actually true. Like, that's why we test all of the nutrients that we put into formulations to make sure that there aren't any issues like that. And so, again, just be careful. Like, again, what would the pharmaceutical industry want you to do? Well, they would want you to take Ambien or Lunesta or even a Tylenol PM over a natural-based substance that your body produces. So let's just be careful of the fear-mongering, but also let's also just keep our minds open as well. All right, patient with previous cardiovascular or concurrent cardiovascular issues and sleep issues, do we want to use melatonin? Probably the answer would be yes, but then tapering them off of it so that they're not on it for the long term. That might be a good moderate-based approach, and that's something to look at as well. So for everybody else who doesn't have the heart issues, who wants all the anti-aging benefits, maybe it's still the right product for you at a lower dosage like we talk about. So hopefully that's helpful. I can't link up the product that we use, but you can find all the products that I use in my practice, and I've been using them now for decades at stephencabral.com/shop. And then for all the research so that you can make the right decisions for you and your family, head on over to stephencabral.com/3583 for all of the research studies. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing rest of the day. And of course, do feel free to share the show with anyone you believe it could serve.